RingCentral will completely transform the way you work. It gives you built-in AI across all your business conversations. Your phone system has an AI receptionist that answers calls 24/7. Your video meetings have AI that takes notes instantly. Even your contact center has AI, so you can help customers faster. It all comes together in one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
And now it's time for No Pucks Given with Dan Kingerski of Pittsburgh Hockey Now. Penguin Scoops locker room buzz and straight-up analysis. No fluff, all hockey. Now, here's Dan.
And it is the No Pucks Given podcast here on the Odyssey Podcast Network and all the Pittsburgh Hockey Now platforms. Hi, I'm Dan Kingerski. Real kind of spur-of-the-moment sort of recording on this late Sunday night. Actually, technically, it's Monday morning. I'm in Chicago. I've got to bug out early Monday morning because there's like the snowpocalypse coming down through Minnesota. So I've got to get ahead of that. Don't worry, I will bring it to Pittsburgh. It's about 1:30 in the morning. We're going to do this No Pucks Given episode. They don't matter, but number 44, give or take. And I've got my friend Anthony Jardine, who owns the original Pittsburgh Winery in the Strip District, kind of joining me to, just break up the Dan blathering, because I do a live chat and I do these post-game shows, and good Lord, even I'm sick of hearing me talk a lot of times. So we're going to bring Anthony in and kind of balance me out with some, I don't know, what do you call it? Public opinion, normal opinions?
Yeah, with a side of banter.
A side of banter. Okay, yeah, kind of like broccoli. So I have to tell you, Anthony, being in Chicago, I had one of those, Monday was just a really great day because, first of all, I've got a pretty good story from the Monday morning skate that I've kind of put in my pocket. Hopefully I can get to write it Tuesday before everybody else figures it out and writes it. But two, I had Luke's Italian beef for lunch. It's this hidden little gem right beside the big tourist trap, Giordano's. And I found it a few years ago because Giordano's the big pizza place that every tourist has to stumble into. I wasn't happy with my Giordano's experience.
No?
I'll put it that way. I don't like Chicago pizza, quite frankly. It's just like meat cake.
Yeah, it's a bit much. I feel like every slice is like a piece of cake. Like it's on, and
it is an assault upon your stomach. And yeah, I love pizza, but that's So anyway, next to Giordano's is this 100-year-old little spot that actually where Al Capone ate, Luke's Italian beef. And I'm like, you know what? This looks like more like my speed. And I stumbled in there, and I kid you not, it beats the heck out of Portillo's and Al's and every other big Italian beef in Chicago. Oh, you have to try this. And so I just make a pilgrimage there every year. But after the game, I realized I have never been to the original Billy Goat Tavern. Cheeseburger, Dan Aykroyd, John.
Yeah.
I thought I had been. It turns out I've been going to a little satellite location. I know.
What a letdown.
Well, I remedied that after the game Sunday night. So at, 11:15 Chicago time, so like 12:15 Eastern, I hopped in an Uber, took the $10 ride about 6 or 8 blocks, had me a cheeseburger.
I would expect nothing less from you, Dan.
These little things just give me ungodly pleasure.
That's awesome.
Give me the grubbiest, greasiest, awesomest food. And Dan is a happy guy. So let's talk about the Penguins. Here's what we've got on this week's show. I've made you sit through 4 minutes of us talking. Here's what we're going to dig into on No Pucks Given. Because one of the reasons I brought Anthony on was Anthony keeps my feet to the fire on our private text chats. You're laughing because, I tend not to be as harsh or critical, which is so awkward because in real life, I'm the most harsh, critical human being on the planet. But when I'm writing, about the team, I don't necessarily broadside players. So Anthony keeps my feet to the fire. But we can talk about several of the issues dogging the Penguins over the last month, why things took a left turn. I think you saw some of the issues Sunday against the Blackhawks. The top two defense pairings are just, the mistakes are brutal. So Anthony and I will get into that. We're also going to talk about the kids line. For as well as they've played, they actually haven't put the puck in the net. That, and whatever Anthony's going to throw at me as well. So let's get into it, Anthony. I think one of the things that you've pressed me on is Kris Letang, specifically Letang, and I haven't, I haven't been overly critical of his play. I've pointed out the mistakes, I think.
Yeah, I think
I'm a fan. I mean, you guys are really just sort of frustrated to level 10.
Right, because one, I think there's such a responsibility for basically like his whole entire his career. So we've kept him around for so long, and that's something that Pittsburgh tends to do, which bugs the shit out of me, because I think it's just one of those things where we live in nostalgia and we keep players around for far too long. What ends up happening is, as Neil Young would say, it's better to burn out than to fade away, kind of thing. And you see that with Letang, and it's almost like watching like an injured puppy just walk off into and you're just like
an injured puppy. That's where we're going with it.
Yeah, honestly. Well, maybe an older dog now. Like he's going under the fence, and to be alone kind of thing. I think the issue with it all is you have Sid, who's playing great hockey. He's the leading in points for the team. And you have Letang, who has done nothing. Like he's let up far more goals than he's put in.
You're talking about this season.
Past few, I feel like.
Last couple. Yeah, it's been increasingly rough.
But how do you hold him accountable is my...
See, that's the word that sort of drives me nuts. Accountable, hold them accountable. I think so many fans and so many people who tweet at me and kind of message me or just rip me on Reddit or whatnot. Just because a coach doesn't scream at a player publicly.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you need to bench him.
Scratch him as if he's going to wake up tomorrow morning and go, geez, I really need to do X and Y. He's 38 years old. This is baked into the casserole, baby. This is what you're eating.
Right. And we're choosing to eat it.
Yeah. And that whole hold him accountable as if he doesn't know he just made a brutal mistake. Like $1:21 into the game Sunday. He kind of just carelessly sort of puts a grenade in Brett Kulak's skates in front of the net. Just misses the stick, misses everything entirely. It becomes, I think it was Ryan Green, his first big scoring chance of the night. It might have been somebody else. Sheloffs has to make a big save 90 seconds into the game. Those are the things he knows. It's not like he's going, I had a great shift there, guys. And they're all looking at him sideways. Like, what does that mean to hold somebody accountable?
No, you're playing in a professional league. You're being paid the amount of money that you're being paid. And for him, it's a significant amount, which takes up our cap space. And my issue with it all is not necessarily himself holding himself accountable. For me, it's more the coaching. You owe it to the team to generate good plays. If you can't, then the coaching staff and everybody else should do something about it.
Like, what are you talking about? Scratch him?
Scratching, yeah. You have to prove a point. Like, this is a professional league. Like, you can't just have this constantly happen and have him still playing, on first line, second line. Like,
and my counter is this, and I've tried to sort of explain this in other places. There isn't a coach in the league in any professional level who would go to that extreme until it is absolutely necessary, because there's a fallout to this. Mm-hmm. The players don't see him as a problem or something that needs to be scratched.
It's because they're not allowed.
No.
The big three.
I certainly have known enough players. They know when a teammate's just eating it, right? They know when stuff has gone sideways and a guy needs a break, and they'll sort of nod or, maybe say the right thing. But they're like, okay, yeah, it's best for him or it's best for us. The fallout, when you hold him accountable, healthy scratch a guy like Kris Letang. Now your team looks cross-eyed at the coach, kind of side-eyed at the coach. If you lose that game, the team looks at the coach like, hey, you just took one of our weapons, one of our assets out of the lineup to prove a point up for yourself, not for us. And things then really get tense and they go haywire. You don't see any coach in hockey doing that. And it's for that reason.
I see it the other way around. I see if you're taking that player out, then you're showing that these younger kids can be able to prove themselves. Like, where it's like, oh, I can fill that position. Because, like, to allow this to happen, him to
younger kids, you're talking about Connor Clifton would be the
Clifton, right? Or just like
not exactly a kid,
right, exactly. But
or a top four defenseman.
Brunick. I mean, like, just like one of those things where it's like you have the big three, you have this notion of the big three: Crosby, Geno, and Letang, and to bench him would be a sin because of his stature and him being in the big three, right?
Well, not just that, but because of what he can bring. You don't assume those mistakes. You assume the positive and expect some mistakes. And that's actually for every player.
Would you say that Letang has had a better performance, or do you think that?
Oh, I think this season, on the whole, 37 games, the negatives have probably outweighed.
Yeah.
But I would say over the last 3 weeks, rough number. Kind of actually, as the team was really struggling, Letang, I thought, improved his play to the point that he was worthy of, a second pairing sort of designation. Maybe a tertiary problem of this is when you begin to focus on the mistakes, you see them. You see every little thing, whether it was a mistake or not. It's kind of almost like the Jack Johnson syndrome. Things got so heated, so intense that, we hate Jack Johnson. He has to be out of the lineup. He has to be out of the league, and so on and so forth, that even when he wasn't on the ice, somehow goals were his fault. To a lesser extent, I think people begin to see Letang faults or foibles, and you don't see maybe the rest, the good play in front of the net, the good clear, the good stop on the wall. Those sort of get washed away because of one mistake, putting the puck into Kulak's skates instead of on his tape. And I'm not in any way saying that Kris Letang is what he was 3 or 4 years ago, because that would be foolish. But that whole hold him accountable, scratch him because we're frustrated with him, that's kind of one of those fan versus team things that you're never going to get satisfaction.
See, I think you're misconstruing my idea of holding somebody accountable. It's not the individual player. It would be any player. So treating every player as though they're equals, right? Talent-wise, if you're not playing well, you don't get to play. we want the best team. We want the best opportunity to make the playoffs, right? And if Letang is constantly making these mistakes and he is a detriment to the team, that's where you have an issue. It has nothing to do with Kris Letang himself. It has nothing to do with Geno, like giving up a goal, like whoever, right? It's holding all players accountable and being the best team possible. And that's my interpretation of accountability.
Yep. I think you're probably winning this fight on points for our listeners who are like, yeah, Kingerski, shut up. The thing is, the players and the coaches don't go into each game assuming these mistakes.
But when they're consistent,
yeah,
or
they still don't.
As players.
I think when that worm turns and they start to not think that they're getting more positives than negatives, that they start to think, well, if we put Clifton in for a game, maybe we'd be better. That's when I actually think you will get some healthy scratches and so forth. But until they think, okay, Connor Clifton is better. I mean, that's really the only other possibility. I guess Jack St. Ivany would be the other right-handed defenseman. Until one of those guys presents or makes the coaches and the players feel like that's a better option, you're not getting any headway there.
Yeah, I think my issue with it though is that you can have Letang play 10 consistently bad games, right?
Yeah.
And then you can have one of the younger guys come up and they'll play like 2 or 3 and then they send them that, like you haven't given them the same opportunity. And there's this weird, like, well, Letang has seniority, right?
Well, I don't even think it's seniority. It's just expectation.
Right.
Like with Harrison Brunick, and this is probably, you say younger guys, Harrison Brunick is really the only young defenseman. There's Brunick and there's Owen Pickering, who's on the left side. So for this conversation, involving Letang, it's only Brunick. And you saw the last 4 or 5 games that Brunick played of his 9, just how rough it can get for a young defenseman. I mean, he was underwater and sinking fast. And
yeah, I agree.
And so for as rough as Letang has been, he didn't have any games quite that bad or quite that shaky where you're like, oh boy, he's underwater.
Yeah, I think the other issue that comes into play is the idea of the offensive defenseman. So, like, what is your role as an offensive defenseman? Like, right now, we strictly need some defense happening. Like, Carlson's a great offensive defenseman. Don't get me wrong. But if you can't get back to, that's where our problem is. That's where it exists and remains.
Especially late in games. And there was no defending Dan Muse. The first time he tried it, Letang and Carlson, second game of the season, third game of the season, they gave up a high danger scoring chance with 1 second to go, almost gave up the tying goal. A few weeks later, he tries it again. They do give up a tying goal, and he does it a third time. They gave up a big momentum goal to Anaheim with like a minute some to go, which led to a tying goal. He did stop that.
When I think of offensive defensemen, I think of like Gonchar, who can rip the puck on net. And I don't see that from Letang so much anymore. He used to be great.
Yeah, his offensive game has dramatically slipped. And here is actually the point I wanted to make, is that the game is evolving so rapidly that everything that I think American fans grew up with, offensive defensemen, defensive defensemen, and those sorts of things, they're melting away. Like even Jack St. Ivany, he got in trouble last season because they were sort of pushing him to play with the puck more, to be more involved, and he wanted to be. And Owen Pickering is really in the same boat. a young guy who can actually play in the defensive zone pretty capably, maybe a different way than St. Ivany, but we're not going to get into those weeds. But trying to integrate more puck play. I won't call it offense. I'll call it puck play. Knowing when to jump into the play and having the F3 circle back, that is almost becoming requirement for a defenseman so that you don't have very many defensive defensemen in the league anymore. Those guys are going to become a dying breed and probably die out at this rate in the next handful of years, kind of like Sidney Crosby and the young players who could skate of like 2005 to 2008 just obliterated those knuckle-dragging, water-skiing, slow-footed, true defensive defensemen. I think we're hitting that like third wave now, where if you can't jump into the play, teams are going to just sort of stick you third pairing or even press box.
Yeah, you look at like Cale Makar, for instance. Like that dude, he can go down, he can score goals, and he can be behind
the top of the list here.
Yeah, he can be. Well, I'm just saying, like in general, he can be behind the opponent's net and get back for defense.
Yeah,
to be able to make that poke check if there is a breakaway. That's the difference.
Well,
and
that's the problem with Letang. And I maybe I should have led with this 15 minutes ago, I feel like. But his skating, that burst, that step where he could create separation coming out of the zone, where he could just step past a forechecker and be gone.
Yeah.
Even in the offensive zone where he could leap forward, work the wall, dish the puck, but also then swing back, where he was, if not one of the first two people onto the blue line, he was trailing close enough to be, involved in a disruption or a stop. And
I want to make this point clear, though. Like it's not me ragging on Letang. I think that everyone should be held accountable, not within themselves. I mean, they should be, obviously, because they're professional athletes. But being rated on a scale of everyone is equal until you have to prove yourself, right?
Yeah, but that's never happened in hockey. It's just not the way that world works.
Well, no, I'm aware of that. Like, this is my utopian, pipe dream. But what I'm saying in general is that just because you're a part of the big three, right? Like, does not give you any more headway than it would for any other defensive player. I think that's where the accountability comes in. It's not individually, it's everyone on that team. You're all professional athletes. And what is the goal for everyone? It is to get to the playoffs. And with this kind of playing, it's not working.
All right. I'm going to put a stop to this conversation now before you hammer me anymore.
No.
It is No Pucks Given here on the Odyssey Podcast Network and the Pittsburgh Hockey Now platform, YouTube and Facebook and everywhere else where you get to see this brilliance unfold. On the podcast side, we're going to take this quick timeout. On the video, you know how this works. We hold our breath for like 3 seconds and then come right back into it. And producer Scott inserts some bill-paying commercials and stuff that actually benefits Dan and Pittsburgh Hockey Now. So we get to keep doing this stuff, and I get to keep going on the road. Man, we should probably talk about why I'm on the road anymore. Sometimes the locker room just is not worth it. Like Sunday night, we had like 3 players to talk to, and we all media people talk to the same 3 players. I'm like, what am I doing here? It's like, I wanted to talk to some, you win 7-3, 7-3. I had things I wanted to talk about. I feel like Mr. Rogers now. And anyway,
you're dressed for it.
Hey, now I came from work technically, so we're going to take this time out on the Odyssey Podcast Network. Here it is, No Pucks Given.
RingCentral will completely transform the way you work. It gives you built-in AI across all your business conversations. Your phone system has an AI receptionist that answers calls 24/7. Your video meetings have AI that takes notes instantly. Even your contact center has AI, so you can help customers faster. It all comes together in one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
Hey, look at that. We are back on No Pucks Given. Video people are like, what is he doing? Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about, Anthony, what you saw through December. I felt like it was Bugs Bunny. I should have made a left in Albuquerque. They really just if they zigged, the game zagged, and almost nothing they could do went right for them. 4-goal lead, gone. 3-goal lead, gone. And then, hit a couple posts or get a couple of scoring chances taken away early, goals overturned, and then just some flatline performances on top of it, like, some bad icing on a terrible cupcake. So what did you see? Like, what was in your crawl in December?
Well, when the S&P app worked, I saw the bad games, and I couldn't see tonight's game. But, that's neither here nor there. But,
yeah, I saw a lot of people complaining about that. I don't pick on the Penguins thing. I'll let them discuss and handle themselves or defend themselves.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, it's just when you're paying that much for an app and it never works and freezes all the time, you'd think, never mind. All right, I digress.
Yeah.
I think what is happening right now is we got too comfortable. When we were in first place, it was like, look at us, and we got to the point of comfortability where we were losing in the third period with like 4-goal leads, 3-goal leads. Like that's insanity. And
you know what? You've actually touched on a bigger issue. I don't know that you're actually more right than you know.
Oh, is that right? Oh, thanks for the backhanded compliment.
I'm saying, and I say that because of the conversations we had in the locker room on Saturday before the Chicago trip. Like, you just really, I think, encapsulated what the players said without saying it.
What would they say?
Well, what they said was we were playing too slow.
Okay.
For whatever reason, they were playing slow on the breakouts through the neutral zone, and because they were dilly-dallying, basically.
Are we talking third period?
We're talking the entire game for the month of December, basically. Because they didn't have that urgency and that speed and that tempo, what teams did, first of all, teams adjusted to Dan Muse's attack and the breakout routes, which, of course is going to happen. And so they efforted to take away the middle of the ice, which, the Penguins then it kind of compounded it. As teams are trying to take away the middle of the ice, the Penguins gave it to them by playing slow, by trying to be too cute by half on a whole lot of stuff, by getting a little bit sated or satisfied with themselves, trying to make a cute play and a stretch pass for that big home run offense instead of that very compact, fast game, the puck support tick, tick, tick up the ice and gone. When you start playing with that speed, then the other team can't take away the middle of the ice because they're chasing you. Even if you use the perimeter, now they're chasing. That opens cross ice lanes. That opens passing lanes. So by and large, take all of that together, and it's exactly what you just said. They got comfortable with themselves.
What's wild to me is I've never seen such a gritty offense. Like we're in their zone the entire game. Do you know what I mean? And we just
playing too.
What's that?
Oh, you're playing too?
Us, the Pens. Yeah.
I had to.
I'd give it a go.
Yeah.
But but it's wild to be in the zone for that long and just be like controlling the puck the entire game.
And not dangerous.
Yep. And it's wild that this is the first season, despite like previous seasons and how our play has been the past couple of years. This is the first season I've seen so many opportunities to clean up the trash, and it just doesn't happen. It's close, but it's either a goalie interference or it's uncanny this year. It's almost like a curse. Like, we have so many opportunities.
Well, that was what Sunday night sort of was getting back to that. And by the way, my guest this week on the No Pucks Given is Anthony Jardine of the original Pittsburgh Winery. And Anthony, what is the name of your band? You guys played the North Side Music Festival and absolutely slayed it. Rhythm section, you got the horns. It was glorious.
It's just my name, just Anthony Jardine, and then plus company. I just hire musicians.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy enough to find.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But you have to add the Vincent because there's some kid in the UK who's got my same name, so I had to add my middle name. Yeah.
You know, in the 40 plus years I'm on the planet, no one has ever had my name before, and no one has it yet. So
what do you mean?
There's never been another Kingerski on the planet.
Gotcha.
Anyways, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, the net front stuff.
Cleaning up the trash.
That was really the second line, and Justin Brazeau and Anthony Mantha, and that line was shockingly successful in the first, say, 15 games of the season. Brazeau gets hurt in game 12 or so. Mantha was out of his skates and playing with, broad shoulders and, ill intent. And Brazeau was, dancing with the puck a little bit, but getting to the net. And Malkin just fed them. Brazeau goes out of the lineup. Malkin goes out of the lineup. And you're right. They got Sharman soft. Nobody bulldozed the crease. Nobody even created any chaos. And yeah, it was just two trailer park girls going around the outside for minutes at a time.
Yeah, and that line reminds me a lot of the what is it, the HBK line. Am I right?
Malkin, Mantha, and Brazeau reminds you of HBK?
The Hornquist line.
Well, that wasn't HBK. Hornquist was with Crosby and Sherry.
All right, edit that out.
Yeah, nah. I admit too many mistakes on these podcasts, but
Hornquist, I think, is an example of one of those players that got in front of the net, and it didn't matter how pretty the goal was. It was screening the goalie and trying to get a goal. And there's something that's happening now where it's like you were saying earlier, like trying to make it too pretty, like going for that stretch pass. And it's like, just clean up the trash,
Yeah. Well, there was certainly a little bit of shoot first mentality on Sunday. I expected a bit more downplaying of that win. It's just the Blackhawks. They don't have Bedard. They don't have Nazer. They're really a bad team. But the fact that the Penguins took care of business, I thought was hugely important. That they got those goals in front. Even Mantha's goal, which was total softy, $1:48 into the game, was created because Brazeau tipped St. Ivan's shot, because Brazeau outmuscled the defenseman, tips the shot, and then contacts the defenseman, just outside the crease. Boy, I was waiting for a challenge on that, the way that things have been going for the Penguins. And in that chaos, Spencer Knight sort of gets lost in the play, and even a weak sauce shot like Mantha's just sort of turning push to the net gets in, and Mantha gets credit for the goal, but that was all Brazeau.
Brazeau has been so impressive this year. Like I would have never thought, you know what I mean? Like, not that I had low expectation for him, but it's like his hands are just
they're shockingly good. Like how soft his hands are.
Yeah.
Kyle Dubas deserves worlds of credit for finding Brazeau. I mean, this was a guy who was fourth liner in Boston, has a nice season finally after 5 or 6 years professionally. Boston started him in the ECHL back in 2019-20. he wasn't really, but he works his way up to the NHL and they stick him on the fourth line. Last year, because they were so depleted, he gets some power play time, gets a little confidence going, scores 10 goals in like 50 games. They trade him for a sack of peanuts, basically, or, his part of the trade anyway, to Minnesota, where he has 2 points in 20 games and Minnesota has no interest in retaining him. Penguins get him on the cheap, and I think he's already outperformed his contract for the entire year.
For sure. And
if
I think
for another point, he's already outperformed it.
And I think there's something to be said about that, where it's like, and it goes back to the whole conversation we started with. I think there's something about giving those fourth liners that opportunity. When they're deemed as a fourth liner, it's like, okay, they're a fourth liner, but they've never been given the opportunity to play with the first, second line. You know what I'm saying? So like
some guys now, like obviously Connor Dewar,
for sure,
we know that he's not meant to play up there.
Right. But I think it goes to the point of where once these players who are eager to prove themselves have the ability to, you'd be surprised, and they will surprise you. You know what I mean?
You're going right to a man after Kyle Dubas' heart there. That's exactly what, for the next, I think, 2, maybe 3 years, if the rebuild goes really well, that's all the time they'll have for it. If it doesn't go perfectly, then we're talking probably 3 to 5 years where these guys like Brazeau will get this opportunity. That's exactly what Dubas wants to create. He wants a big neon sign outside PPG Paints Arena that says second chance, arrow pointing to the door. That's Parker Waterspoon. And I'm trying to think of who else. I guess even Blake Lizotte would sort of qualify under that, because the LA Kings wouldn't pay him 1.8 or 2 million. Penguins are like, heck yeah, come on over. And he is hugely valuable. Who else? Oh, Ryan Shea is another guy that Dubas just sort of looked through the bottom of the toy box to find.
For sure. Yeah, I think it's very similar with his methodology with so he's different than any other GM. And he's very much like statistics, whole thing. And there's something to be said about the way that he orchestrates something like the draft, right? So we picked Kendall. It's because he could see that there's something in this guy.
Well, Wes Clark, yeah, really the guru there.
Yeah, but like, Kendall wasn't under the media hype. No. It was, it was
the
very much
had him like 25.
Yep. And there's something to be said about seeing a player outside of that media hype. And I'll be very interested to see the 2026 draft, because everyone's going McKenna, but there's some ringers in there.
Oh yeah, there's every time you read about the 26 class, there's another player being added, like Stenberg and Verhoff are already there, and there's more guys being added to the conversation. I will, this wasn't on the docket, but we're just free-forming it at this point. The thing about Kyle Dubas, and I don't even know if he realizes, his greatest advantage over his rivals in competition is it seems like encyclopedic knowledge of some of these guys who nobody else sees, the Sheas and the Waterspoons, and even some of the guys he's brought into Wilkes-Barre over the last couple of years who could play in the NHL. I'm thinking of the Joona Koppanens of the world. And then what they're doing is they're adding a science onto this. Their sports science really seems, and they don't talk about the sports science because they don't want to give away an advantage, but they're really working on players and their skating. You can see it with Rutger McGroarty and even Ben Kendall from July to September. Different player entirely on just how quick and how well he skated.
Oh, 100%.
And I think that's Dubas's great advantage. I guess it speaks to his hockey upbringing, coming up through the Sioux as a junior hockey general manager. So he was looking at these guys and then being an AHL general manager in Toronto while he was Lou's assistant there.
RingCentral will completely transform the way you work. It gives you built-in AI across all your business conversations. Your phone system has an AI receptionist that answers calls 24/7. Your video meetings have AI that takes notes instantly. Even your contact center has AI, so you can help customers faster. It all comes together in one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
And I guess he has brought that with him. It's a part of him, even though I don't know that he realizes that he's maybe the best at that.
Yep, 100%. And I think what he's really great, like where he really shines, is knowing the player for the team. So like I was saying, you have your number one draft pick, Connor Bedard. And he was the next Crosby, right? He was the next hype, right? And like really didn't do anything. And then you have Celebrini, who was like, oh, like no one knows it. And now he's like,
yeah, he's the guy who's next.
Right. So it's very rare. I would say that Sid, Celebrini, and McDavid are the only three to really live up to that first pick hype. Do you know what I mean?
But Bedard figured out something.
He did, yeah.
I don't want to shortchange him because he took a beating last year. It will probably cost him an Olympic team spot by skipping the Worlds last May. And everybody in hockey just went, oh, he needs to play with Sid. He needs to learn this. And I guess Mario Lemieux went through the same thing in the 87 Canada Cup when he was exposed up close to Wayne Gretzky, and just, all those great players and what it takes to mold endless talent into endless results.
Right.
Yeah. So I, for that reason, have assumed that Celebrini would make it and Bedard wouldn't, just for the last May.
For sure.
We're far afield now. We have wandered into the swamp here. We're talking about these things. Anthony, I'm also realizing I have to awake in 4 hours to get ahead of the storm, and I've got some other stories to write. Man, sure. I appreciate you making this podcast easy on me and
jumping on
like in 10 seconds. Notice, like, hey, you want to jump on the podcast? Sure.
I wish I was a little more sharp this evening, but
you and I both. But I think we got some hockey talk.
That's right.
We didn't even talk about the kids line. It doesn't matter. I think, you know what? Maybe as a PS to the podcast, I can say it really would behoove Kyle Dubas to find a finisher for that line, if only to boost Ben Kendall and Rutger McGroarty's confidence. They're playing well enough, and they're getting enough scoring chances. I just don't think they know how to finish at the NHL level, and maybe somebody on their line would. And I hate to downplay Ville Koivunen, but he's it is what it is. If they can find somebody to finish a few pucks, it might show the other two guys exactly how it's done.
Steven Stamkos.
I'll tell you what. How about Jonathan Marchessault?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay. You want Stammer? I'll take Marchie. I will tell you this: having dealt with him in Las Vegas in Vegas for a few months, Marchessault is a different cat. I don't know if Penguins fans would love the guy or be like, who is this weirdo? He's got his own drummer and he's got his own marching band, and it's his world, and you're just paying rent.
Yeah. I respect that.
I can respect that too. Anthony, not just check out his band, but also for some great wine. Not Pennsylvania wine, actually California grapes, imported and made there in the Strip District, even though the idiot city decided to take away an entire lane of traffic out front, reducing it to just one lane so that 3 people a week can ride a bike past there. It's still a great place to go, and you park around the corner and walk over to the original Pittsburgh Winery, further up on Penn Avenue. What is you're just up there? You're by the ice cream place, and
yeah, we're like between the heart of the Strip and then Lawrenceville.
Yeah. But the other one with a similar name in the fruit company. No. The original Pittsburgh Winery. So check out Anthony's great work. He also does the labels on the bottles as well. So it's always a great time to go over there. So just go over there. All right, Anthony, thank you so much. That
appreciate you having me, and have a safe trip back. I'm not sure what the storm's supposed to bring. They're calling it the bomb cyclone.
It's 106 miles to Chicago. I got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark.
Wow.
I'm wearing sunglasses.
You brought the Blues Brothers reference straight back.
Hit it. I mean, come on.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. All right, kids. Have fun.
RingCentral will completely transform the way you work. It gives you built-in AI across all your business conversations. Your phone system has an AI receptionist that answers calls 24/7. Your video meetings have AI that takes notes instantly. Even your contact center has AI, so you can help customers faster. It all comes together in one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.